Good morning. Thanks for coming out. We are proud to stand here today with parents and students from around Minnesota to make a commitment to pay our kids back. Today, Senator Sieben and I are introducing the Pay Back Our Kids Act, which will make good on our promise to Minnesota students to pay back the $2.2 billion the state of Minnesota has borrowed from them in the last year. Last session, the Republican majority chose to borrow $770 million from Minnesota students rather than make everyone, corporations and the wealthiest 2% of Minnesotans, pay their fair share. Kids in our state now hold $2.2 billion in IOUs, and it's time to do the right thing. Today we're joined obviously by a great coalition of parents and students from around Minnesota, from the urban, suburban, and greater Minnesota districts. And they're going to hear from them and talk about the effect of this school shift, this $2.2 billion IOU on their school districts and on their educations. And then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the legislation.
Hi, my name is Rainbow Espinosa, and I currently have 3 children enrolled in St. Paul Public Schools and a 4th in ECFE. I have mostly been very happy with my children's school experience, and I'm an avid supporter of public education, being a public school teacher myself. The biggest area that I have seen impacted by schools having to trim their budgets is in the area of staff reductions, which equals higher class sizes. When my kindergartner has 28 students to compete with, she simply can't get the individual attention she might need all the time. I can't imagine trying to teach that many 5- and 6-year-olds how to sound out letters and begin to read and write, learn early math concepts, as well as solve interpersonal problems and basic school dilemmas. When bullying goes undetected far too long in my 6th graders' class because the teacher is teaching to 27 students a day, it makes me worried. The task of teaching is far broader than what is in the textbooks, and sometimes the social experience is just as valuable and important. However, there's so many barriers when a teacher doesn't have the ability to get to know each student. These 2 ages are, for different reasons, fragile in their educational experience, and an exceptional classroom environment can make a huge difference. Both of their teachers are experienced, wonderful professionals, but they have way too many bodies to manage while also teaching high-quality, standards-based curriculum to a wide variety of students with a range of needs and skills. I understand that schools have to make difficult decisions about staffing with the budget that they have. However, if the money that was owed from the state was paid back, I would hope situations like this would be resolved, with more teachers hired, causing lower class sizes.
Hello, my name is Jess Buttleman. I'm 17 and I'm a junior at Henry Sibley High School in Mendota Heights. I really like my school, but we're definitely seeing the effects of funding not being there. Some of my classes have 35 students in them, which gets pretty loud and means we do not get much time with the teacher. Also, I play Ultimate Frisbee, a sport that's been around for many years, but our school hasn't ever had the money for us. So we provide our own money for transportation, uniforms, and equipment. Lastly, our school has cut jobs like the media assistant and is replacing those jobs with student volunteers. Our generation deserves a quality education so we can better provide for our future. If our funding keeps getting taken away, then Minnesotans are saying that they don't care about us or our education. We need to take care of our students because some days those adults making all the decisions are going to need us to take care of them.
Hello, my name is William Dial. I live in East Central Minnesota. I want to start this off by reading something from our Minnesota Constitution. This is Article 13, Section 1. Uniform system of public schools. The stability of a Republican form of government depending mainly upon the intelligence of the people, it is the duty of the legislators to establish a general and uniform system of public schools. The legislation or legislator shall make such provisions by taxation or otherwise as will secure a thorough and efficient system of public schools throughout the state. Well, we're not doing this. Our schools are in sore need. I live in a district where we have a 4-day school week now. They're cutting programs for our kids. There's a day where the children are left by themselves, or the parents must scramble to find ways of taking care of them, which means it comes out of their own pocket. We haven't passed a levy in my school district for 8 years. This is causing division in my community. It's causing people to turn against each other, and I'm slowly seeing my community die because of this. It is necessary for us as citizens of Minnesota to start recognizing that our investment are actually our schools. The dividends that we reap from it are our future. If we're going to maintain a group of educated students that are able to compete in our world, then we need to look at them as our future, and we need to invest in them. This will be our reward. As the gentleman said before me, they are our future, and they will be taking care of us. Thank you.
Our kids are Minnesota's future. As Minnesotans, we know that the strength of our economy and our workforce is rooted in a commitment to great schools and quality education. Yet parents and children across Minnesota have stories similar to the ones you just heard. Years of funding cutbacks and IOUs have taken a toll on Minnesota's schools and are compromising the future of Minnesota. Minnesota now ranks 47th in elementary class size and is one of the top 10 states making the deepest cuts to education. And I think this is the most important. We are spending, on average, $727 less on each Minnesota student than we did in 2008 when adjusted for inflation. So on top of all of that, we now owe our schools $2.2 billion in IOUs. So the state has given Minnesota kids $2.2 billion in IOUs, but IOUs, as you know, can't buy textbooks, construction paper, or a chance for children to play in their elementary school band. It can't buy great teachers, and it can't buy a safe bus ride back to their house. So it's time for us to stop nickel and diming our kids and pay back the $2.2 billion we owe them.
We'll take questions in just a minute, but just some specifics on the bill. As we've said, the state owes the school districts in Minnesota $2.2 billion, an IOU to all of the kids in the state. The last session, when we had an opportunity to raise taxes on the richest 2% of Minnesota, the legislature failed to do so. This year, we are proposing something different. We are proposing to close $450 million a year in loopholes that the biggest corporations in Minnesota get to pass through this legislature and avoid paying taxes. We think that's wrong. It's time for the state of Minnesota to say that everyone should pay their fair share, both corporations and the richest 2%, and the $450 million in corporate loopholes that we close can pay back the entire school shift in just over 5 years. So that's the legislation. We think it's time to take action. We think it's time for the legislature to step up and actually honor our commitment to Minnesota kids and do the right thing for the future of our state. Questions?
Is there a guarantee, Representative, that if this is paid back in the time manner that you're suggesting, that class sizes are going to go down, that these types of things that these individuals were talking about will actually be remedied?
Well, Tom, there is no requirement in the law that locally elected school districts spend the money on hiring more teachers. But if you look at what's happened through the last 8 years of budget cuts, class sizes have been growing steadily. And I think it's pretty reasonable to think that people in the local districts will have their priorities straight and actually try to get more teachers in the classroom so kids have a chance to learn. In my own experience in the Hopkins School District, which is a West Metro school district, comparatively well funded, we have an all-day kindergarten program that my oldest son has been through. It costs families $350 a month to go through the all-day kindergarten program, and when you get there, it had 27 kids in it. That is a result of budget crunches coming from state aid being cut back. And I know in the Hopkins School District, if we have more money to spend on kids, it's going to be by putting more teachers in the classroom and reducing class sizes.
I just add to that, as of February 21st, according to AMSD, school districts have borrowed almost $600 million to cover their costs for the shift, or for the IOUs that are owed to our students.
And that's
so,
over what time period?
That's that since 2010, I believe.
Governor Dayton, as I remember, he wants to tap the same funding source that you do. He's looking for his tax breaks for hiring. Is there enough money there to go around for everyone? I mean, this is,
Well,
other people are looking.
Well, there's no question that people are looking for every source of revenue we can find in order to fund important priorities. The bill that we're introducing has $450 million a year in corporate tax loopholes that are closed. We think that money should all go to paying back kids. I think the governor's jobs proposals are much less generous in their funding, so I think there could be some accommodation. But the bottom line is we already have made a promise to kids. We should be paying them back first.
Have you talked to the governor or the Republican leadership on whether they're going to hear this bill or whether he supports it?
We have not spoken with Republicans about whether they will support the bill. Certainly, we want Republican support, and we think this is another chance to do the right thing. We'll see what happens. We have not engaged with the governor on whether he supports the bill as it stands, but we know that from the last year, the governor is ready to make any accommodation and make any compromise he needs to in order to do the right thing. His campaign promise was to have an increase in education funding in every budget, no excuses. And I think there's no question that Governor Dayton would support this if we can get Republicans to support it. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.